In today's video, it's all about real estate investing. This is going to be the ultimate guide for getting started on your real estate investing journey, and I'm also going to share some of my favorite places to invest in Atlanta, Georgia. And that's coming up right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to Living in Atlanta. This YouTube channel is all about what it's like to live, eat, sleep, play, work, and invest in the Atlanta, Georgia area. My name is Mark, and if you have any real estate needs in the Atlanta area, please give me a call today. All my contact information is in the description below. All right, so let's get right into it. This video is all about how to get started in real estate investing. I have people reaching out all the time to help them buy single family homes, but also to get started in real estate investing. Now, this can be very daunting if you don't know anything about it. You don't know where to get started. You don't even know any of the basics. Well, that's why I'm making today's video. I'm going to be breaking down all the major topics that you need to be aware of to get started in your journey. Warning, I am going to be talking a lot in this video. It'll probably be a little bit of a longer video. Use it as a resource. I'm going to break it up into chapters so you can revisit this video over time, but hopefully this gets you started. Hopefully this is the fundamental resource for you, the free fundamental resource for you to get started in your real estate investing journey. It doesn't have to be Atlanta. We are going to talk about my favorite places to invest in Atlanta later, but you should be able to use this information to get started regardless what market you're in. Even in other countries, a lot of this information will still be helpful for you. All right, so I've broken this guide down into 7 chapters that you'll be able to return to over time. So I'm going to break this down and tell you exactly what you'll be learning today. So chapter 1 is going to be your personal investment philosophy. Chapter number 2 is going to be about education. Chapter number 3 is going to be about financing. Chapter number 4 is going to be about finding deals. Chapter number 5 is about putting your team together. Chapter number 6 is about investing in Atlanta, Georgia. And chapter number 7 are just my final thoughts. So let's get right into it. Your ultimate guide for investing in real estate in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, real quick before we get started, make sure you hit subscribe and tap that bell to be notified every time I put out a new video. I put out my videos at random times. It's not the same time each week. So make sure you're notified so you don't miss one. And of course, if you have any real estate needs in the Atlanta area, all of our contact information is in the description below. We would love to hear from you. All right, chapter number 1, your personal investment philosophy. What in the world does that mean? Well, one of the most common scenarios I have when new real estate investors reach out to me is, hey, Mark, I want to invest in Atlanta. Help me find a great deal. I just need you to send me a great investment property. Well, I get that. Of course, everyone wants a good investment property, but the problem is I have no idea what that means, okay? A good real estate investment deal looks different for different people. So, my first piece of advice for you, if you want to get started in this journey, and this may take some education before you do this, but it's the first thing I want to talk about, is creating your personal investment philosophy. Now, I stole this from some of my favorite podcasters, Real Estate Guys Radio. I'll put a link to a podcast you can listen to about this topic. I highly recommend it. This is a fantastic resource for you, but you need to create a personal investment philosophy. This is where you sit down for a few hours with a notebook, just you and your thoughts, and think about, what do I want to accomplish with real estate investing? Do you want to go all in and, completely offset your income and live a life of financial freedom with a rental portfolio? Or do you just want to, maybe you love your job, you want to keep your job, but you want to add in rentals over the long haul to create kind of a nest egg that maybe you can sell when you go to retire? Do you just want to have some fun on the side with investing? What are your goals? You need to come up with real financial goals for what you want to accomplish with your real estate investing, because you're going to work backwards from those goals to decide how many properties that you need to buy or how many deals that you need to close. Okay, so you need to think about financial goals for real estate investing. You also need to think about the type of work you do and don't want to do. Okay, it's great to think about being a real estate investor. Who is going to do the work? Now, when I say work, I mean things like, are you going to be the property manager for your rental property? Okay, that can be a lot of work and it can go really wrong. So your options are to learn that skill and be your own property manager, or hire an expert and give up probably 9 to 11% of your gross monthly income to a property manager. There's no right or wrong decision. It's just about how involved you want to be. Another example would be, improving the property. The property is almost always going to need improvements. Who is going to do those improvements? Are you a handy person? Are you a contractor? Can you do this work yourself? If the answer is no, one of your jobs will be to create contacts with people who can do that work for you. So you're either going to do this work yourself, but if not, you're going to have to find the team of people, which we'll talk about later, to put in place to do this work. So you need to think about, what are your financial goals with real estate investing? Get specific. What is the work that you do and don't want to be involved in with real estate investing? And you'll learn more about this over time to understand what you do and don't want to do. And then the third one is, what is your level of risk? Okay, only you can determine this. I have investors reaching out that love Section 8. Okay, they want me to help them go to, rougher areas to find properties where we have Section 8 tenants, because they love getting a guaranteed check from the government each month, regardless of if the tenant pays. They like that program. They like the appreciation from being in up and coming areas. I have other clients who would not touch a Section 8 property. They want to be in Midtown or Buckhead. They want to be in nicer established areas with good schools. Why? Because if the market switches, they want to have their money stashed in a safer market that's not going to tank like an up-and-coming neighborhood might. You have to think about your level of risk. All these factors, your financial goals, the work that you want to be involved in, your level of risk, will formulate your personal investment philosophy. This will eliminate a lot of areas. It will eliminate a lot of strategies right off the bat for you, allowing you to focus on the areas and strategies that will help you accomplish your goals with your own acceptable level of risk tolerance. All right, section 2, education. Now, there's no getting around it. If you want to be a successful real estate investor, there is a certain level of education that you just have to put yourself through, or else you're running a big risk. Now, yeah, there are turnkey investments where I guess you don't really need to know that much to get a good return. But of course, even that is risky, because how do you know what a good turnkey property is without having educated yourself to some degree? So, real estate investing is amazing. It's one of the most tried and true ways to develop wealth in America. The barrier for entry to that is education. You have to take the time to read, listen to podcasts, learn from people in person and seminars, or however you want to do it, to develop your knowledge. Now, the good news is, seriously, real estate investing is not complicated, okay? No matter what the strategy that we're talking about, you're taking a property, hopefully buying it below market value, you're improving the property, and then you're either selling it or renting it. Now, that is very broad, but for almost every real estate investing strategy, those 3 steps are involved. So this doesn't have to be complicated, but you do have to educate yourself. Now, think about it like this. This is one of the biggest benefits of real estate investing. When you invest in stocks, you invest in, one company, or you invest in a fund, how much can you really know about that company? Even if you spent years studying the company that you're buying stock in, you'd still have no control over any of the decisions that that company makes. This is why real estate investing is so amazing, because it's not complicated. You can educate yourself, and you can control almost all of the variables except the market itself in order to reduce risk and increase return. It's one of the most hands-on investments that you can make, which is good because you can eliminate risk if you educate yourself and develop the skills necessary to be successful. So, what do you need to know, and how do you figure it out? Well, generally speaking, you need to be familiar with the different types of real estate investing, the pros and cons of each, so you decide which to pursue. But more specifically, one of the first things you need to educate yourself on is how to analyze an investment property. Okay, this goes for flips, rentals, multifamily, BRRRR, short-term rental, whatever you want to do, you have to analyze a deal. You have to be able to analyze a deal. Someone can send you a deal and say this is amazing, but you won't know unless you can actually crunch the numbers yourself. Now, don't worry, crazy math is not really involved, and you can have programs do a lot of this for you. So, one of your biggest resources, I've mentioned it on this channel before, is going to be biggerpockets.com. This is a website and a podcast and probably a few other things. It's a publishing company as well. It's mostly free. All the information you could ever want about real estate investing is somewhere on the Bigger Pockets website or in the podcast or on the forums. You have to be plugged into this community if you're serious about real estate investing. So I highly recommend you go on biggerpockets.com, create either a free account or a pro account, whatever's most appropriate for you. With the pro account, you will get access to their investment property calculators. Okay, so depending on your strategy, you pull up a certain calculator, you can plug in the numbers that you'll get from whatever information sources you're using, and you'll be able to not only analyze the deal, but you'll be able to do very high level financial reports and deal estimates through the Bigger Pockets calculators. And surely there are plenty of other investment property calculators out there on the market. So you don't even need to really know how to do this yourself on an Excel spreadsheet, but you at least need to know how to use the calculators. After all, even if a realtor brings you a great deal or a wholesaler brings you a great deal, you are responsible at the end of the day for making that decision. So don't you want to feel at least a little bit better about your ability to analyze a deal? So you need to know how to analyze an investment property specifically for the strategy that you are pursuing. BiggerPockets.com is one of the fastest ways to educate yourself. I recommend you listen to, one podcast a day or maybe 3 podcasts a week. If you do that consistently, you are going to learn a ton in no time at all. I mentioned Real Estate Guys Radio. This is my other favorite podcast for real estate investing. Very high level, goes a little bit more into the market factors, the financial factors that impact real estate investing in the different markets throughout the country. Subscribe to that podcast as well. Books, of course, tried and true way. If you're not a reader, just get over it and make yourself a reader. In terms of specific books, I don't have too many to recommend, except I definitely would recommend Rich Dad Poor Dad. This is a paradigm shifting book from Robert Kiyosaki that will really help you understand, the difference in mentality between an employee and an entrepreneur. I also highly recommend Cash Flow Quadrant from Robert Kiyosaki, but this really helps you understand how to move from employee to small business owner to big business owner to investor. Again, it's a paradigm shifting book that I highly recommend you get. Also, Jay Scott's How to Estimate Rehab Costs, which is on the biggerpockets.com website. Fantastic book to get you started and how to analyze properties to see how much they're going to cost to repair. Now, a lot of people ask me if they should drop, a few $100 or $1,000 for a course, and my answer for this is only spend money on a course if you have a base level of information and the course is going to go deeper on the strategy that you want to become an expert in. So I would not advise paying any money for a course as a beginner. There's just so much free information that you can absorb at the start. It would be a waste of money to go high level at the start, in my opinion. But once you've got a base level of information after listening to podcasts, reading books, going on the forums, if you decide, for instance, you really want to get into syndication of multifamily apartments, then yes, I would recommend you consider purchasing a course, going to a group event about syndication. When you really nail down the strategy that you want to use, then it makes more sense to me to pay money for a course. So I'm all about investing in your education, but listen, there's so much you don't know at the start. Go with the free information at the start. A lot of people ask me about finding a mentor. One of the worst things you'll see in the investment community is newbies just asking for a mentor without providing any value. You have to remember, if you want to connect and ask questions of someone who's already been doing this at a high level, you are taking up their time, and their time is undoubtedly very valuable. So rather than just asking, hey, who's willing to mentor me? Think about how you can provide a mentor value. You might have information about your neighborhood. You might be able to find a deal for the investor, but approach people with the mindset of providing them value. That is how you'll find a great mentor. Now, lastly, there are a lot of great free groups that you can join, okay? We are more connected through the internet than ever before. Facebook has thousands of groups that you can be involved in. Real estate investing, not only nationally, but locally in your area. Atlanta has plenty of local real estate investing groups on Facebook. I highly recommend you join those to become part of the conversation for whatever you're looking to do. In addition, the Atlanta Real Estate Investing Association and the Georgia Real Estate Investing Association are well worth your time. Particularly the Georgia Real Estate Investing Association. They meet in person multiple times a month. You can learn from people who are actually implementing strategies to develop wealth through real estate investing in your area. So join the Atlanta Real Estate Investing Association. Join the Georgia Real Estate Investing Association. Go to the meetings, educate yourself. This is a vital part of becoming a successful real estate investor. You have to educate yourself. All right, so we covered creating a personal investment philosophy. We covered educating yourself to know what you need to do going forward. Let's talk about financing, okay? This is a section that people like to avoid. They get so excited about finding a great deal or finding a neighborhood to invest in, they don't want to think about the financing piece. Well, this is, the engine that makes the whole thing go. It's really something that you need to dive in head first right away. You need to have contacts related to financing. You need a great local lender. If you're financing, either using a conventional loan or FHA or VA, whatever you're doing, you need to have the person on your team who can finance the deal for you. Not only to actually do the business, but to ask questions for, right? I'm a realtor. I can have conversations with you about financing, but I can't really have high-level conversations about, an amortization table and interest rate projections and all your different loan product options. You need to make connections with a local lender. You also need to make connections probably with a local hard money lender. Now, again, this is going to come down to your personal financial situation, but if you're looking to do a deal and you cannot finance it conventionally, which is very common for dilapidated properties, then you need to have a contact where you can get a hard money loan. This is a loan that is, not federally backed. It's a loan with looser requirements from the person giving you the money, and because of that, you're going to get a much higher interest rate, probably around 10%. So obviously, that's only going to work temporarily while you improve a property and either sell it or refinance it conventionally. So you need a couple people on your team. You need a great local traditional lender. You need a great hard money lender. Now, if you're looking to do, no money investing, a lot of people are coming into real estate investing with no capital at all. It is possible, but you're going to need to find another person to add to your team that can give you private money. Maybe you have a wealthy friend or an experienced friend who would love to be involved in a great real estate investment, but they don't have the time to find the deal or put together the team to take it down. This is where you come in, okay? If you don't have the capital to put down on an investment property, be great at finding deals, be great at putting teams together, do your due diligence and your homework, going back to analyzing a deal, create a great deal analysis, backing up all of your information that you can present to an investor who could potentially put down the down payment for that property. So everyone always asks, can you invest with no capital? The answer is yes, but to make up for that capital, you have to provide whoever you're partnering with a lot of value, so that the value that they bring is the capital to the deal, and the value that you bring is finding the deal or facilitating the deal, putting it together, putting the team together. Now, not only do you need to think about how you're going to finance the acquisition of the property, you most definitely need to think about how you're going to finance the improvement of the property. Again, this might be capital that you've saved up over time from your job. It might be a specific type of loan that you take out, like a HELOC on your current home to do improvements, or you might just take out a hard money loan. Those often make the most sense for a rehab because you can increase the value of a property, sell it, pay off the hard money loan, or you can refinance it conventionally. And with some strategies like the BRRRR strategy, you can create enough capital to take out, pay off your loans, and do it again. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind when educating yourself and learning about financing for real estate investing is the power of leverage, okay? A lot of regular residential homeowners would love to pay off their house. They want to pay down their biggest expense. They think it's that is the biggest dream for them, to have zero payment on their house. Well, real estate investors understand the power of leverage. One of the biggest benefits of investing in real estate is leverage, meaning that you can take out a loan and you can own an asset with as little money down as possible that will generate you cash flow. Now, the balance here is risk, right? So it's like risk and leverage on each side of the spectrum, and where you fall depends on you. But obviously, if you have an entire portfolio that has not been paid down at all, and the market switches and you lose tenants or you have to sell, you could be underwater. That is how disaster sometimes happens. But you can also do it right, building in future expenses and variables to create a very safe investment, which a lot of people do, and you can use as little money down to purchase as many properties as possible. That is how you're going to get the highest cash on cash return for your money. So make sure you understand leverage and try to get out of the mindset of a traditional residential homeowner where you're afraid of debt. Okay, I know Dave Ramsey, debt is bad. I think Dave Ramsey's, very beneficial for some people with their personal finances. When you're talking about generating wealth, when you're talking about investing in real estate, debt is looked at as very good because you can use debt to create more purchasing power to increase your portfolio over time without actually needing the full capital of that property. So debt in terms of real estate investing can be very powerful and good as long as the fundamentals of the deal are there, meaning the market. Okay, is it a growing market? The population is increasing. The industries are diverse. There are a lot of reasons people want to live there. The housing is affordable. The rental market is good. Okay, so these are all variables that you need to determine after educating yourself, like we talked about in chapter 2, to determine, what kind of debt, what kind of leverage you're going to employ with your portfolio. So I know those are very broad thoughts about financing. The main takeaway I want you to take from it is you need to just really confront the financing piece, educate yourself about it, make multiple contacts with finance people in your area so that you have multiple options. Make friends with wealthy people in your circles who would like to invest in real estate because you are going to need a flow of money coming into your business in order to take down deals. The worst thing that can happen is finding a grand slam deal but not being able to pull the trigger on it because you don't have the finances or you don't have the partner with the finances to take it down. All right, the next chapter is finding deals. This is the most important section. At the end of the day, real estate investing is all about finding deals. Okay, to simplify 100%, all you're doing in real estate investing is finding opportunities, finding properties where you can add value and either rent or sell it. Okay, so you've got to get really good at finding deals yourself or partnering with people who can find deals. Now, here is a reality, okay? I have had this same conversation with almost every single real estate investor I've ever spoken with, okay? They want me to send them people who will send them good deals. Here's what I tell them, and I'll tell this to you. If you're serious about real estate investing, if you want to create financial freedom, or you just want to get really good at it, you should seriously consider doing direct to seller marketing yourself. Okay, now a lot of people balk at that. They already say, I have a full-time job. I don't want to become a wholesaler. I'm not interested in wholesaling. And I get it, okay? I'm not suggesting everyone watching this video become a wholesaler. But what I'm saying is, if finding deals is the key to everything in real estate investing, you should seriously consider deploying some capital to an enterprise that will continually find you deals. So, this could be anything from putting out bandit signs like we buy houses in a certain neighborhood that you like to invest in. This could be, getting a list of distressed properties, sending them letters, robo-ink marketing, text messaging, cold calls. All right, there are 1,000 different marketing strategies, but at the end of the day, all direct-to-seller marketing all wholesaling is finding off-market properties. It's literally just going to homeowners, whether they live there or not, and saying, I would like to buy your home, here is an offer. Now, you'll get rejected many times, the numbers won't make sense many times, but if you do it over a long enough period, you will find the best deals this way. Listen, I get that you don't want to create another job for yourself, but there's no doubt the best deals in real estate investing come when you find them off market yourself. Okay, when a wholesaler sends you a deal, they have their fee built in. When a realtor sends you a deal off the MLS, there's way less margin for your profits there. When you connect directly to a seller and offer to buy their property, that is where you're going to get the grand slam home run deals. Okay, I'm telling you this as a broker, as a realtor. I'm telling you to, in one sense, cut me out of the equation. There are other parts of the equation that I can be involved in, but if you're really serious about this, you really need to look at doing your own direct-to-seller marketing. There's a lot of education for that. I won't get into it all right now. But, if you have some kind of monthly budget for your real estate investing, seriously consider setting aside a portion of that budget to do monthly direct-to-seller marketing. It will reap massive rewards in the long run. All right, that is my spiel about direct to seller marketing yourself. Now, if you are just not interested, if you want way more of a passive involvement in your real estate investing, then you need to partner with and find people who will send you great deals. Okay, this could be a wholesaler. I just described what wholesaling is. You don't need a license to wholesale, okay? So there's a lot of crappy wholesalers out there that are sending deals that aren't even theirs, that are sending just listed properties on the MLS. But if you partner with a realtor, they should be able to connect you with some valuable wholesalers in your area. Going back to the real estate investing groups, those Facebook groups, the Atlanta and Georgia Real Estate Investing Association, they will have wholesaler contacts for you that they've worked with in the past. So like anything else, you'll have to wade through a lot of crap before finding someone good. But once you find a great wholesaler, obviously you can foster that relationship and take down as many deals as they have to offer. Other sources for finding great deals: real estate agents. If they work with a lot of investors, a lot of time their clients will go to them first to see if they know anyone who will buy a deal without having to list it. So try to connect with real estate investing focused realtors who have contacts with investors who may have off-market properties to send your way. Another place to find great deals, this is probably the best one on the list: property managers. Okay, call up big property managers in your market. Introduce yourself, say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. Here's what I'm looking for. I would love to be on your list. I would love to be one of the first people you call." Because this is what happens. You get these real estate investors with these big rental portfolios, and you have a big property manager managing the entire portfolio. When they want to go sell one or the entire portfolio, the first person they're going to talk to is their property manager. They're either going to say, "Do you know a realtor who can sell these for me?" Or they're going to say, "Do you know someone who wants to buy these, or do you want to buy these?" Property managers have a lot of off-market properties that they can potentially connect you with. Now, you have to develop that relationship. You have to provide them value somehow, whether you offer to pay them or cut their lawn or whatever. But if you can get in good with some property managers, you will have access to off-market deals. All right, real estate investment groups. Okay, again, the Facebook groups, the in-person investing association groups. People are passing around deals. What works for one investor may be a good deal, but may not work for another investor. So a lot of these deals get passed around. You want to develop relationships with these people, have a good reputation. This is another source for really great investment properties. And lastly, the MLS. Now, in the type of market that we're in right now, where it's a strong seller's market, this is one of the last places you'll find a great deal. But I will tell you, 2 weeks ago, I helped my investor clients close on a flip that's going to do great, I have no doubt, and it was on the MLS. It was just listed there as a dilapidated property in an area where my investors had done deals before. They knew exactly what it could sell for after they improved it. We went and looked at the condition. It was doable. We took that deal slightly above asking price. It's still going to generate a massive profit. So you can still find good deals in the MLS. You have to know exactly what you're looking for, and you have to partner with a realtor who knows how to find good deals in the MLS as well. But this isn't the first place I would look in the type of market that we're currently in. All right, so now let's talk about putting a team together. As we discussed, depending on the type of real estate investing that you're going to do, there is different work involved. And regardless of the strategy that you take, you are going to need to rely on other people. You can't do it all yourself. So let's talk about putting a team of people in place to help your chances of being successful investing in real estate. So number one would be a real estate agent. So this is a person ultimately who should be very good at helping you get properties under contract very quickly. They should be able to negotiate on your behalf to get the best deal possible, and they should also be looking out for your best interest, any red flags, any signs of you needing to walk away from the deal whatsoever. Now, the reality is there are a lot of real estate agents out there. Very few of them have been involved with a real estate investment transaction. So whenever you talk with a realtor or look for a realtor, make sure that they have done deals with investors before. And one of the easiest ways to really tell if they have experience is just to listen to their vocabulary, their language. They should be able to discuss long-term versus short-term rentals, or buy and hold versus flip, BRRRR strategy, and multifamily apartment syndication. All right, they should understand cash on cash return, cash flow, individual rate of return. They should be able to have a conversation with you about what your goals are and how to help you get there. Now, the next one we already talked about is a lender. Not only a lender, but also a hard money lender and even some private money financiers, whether those be friends or acquaintances. But the financing piece is going to be huge. Now, again, there are a lot of lenders, but they are not all equal. Personally, I would highly recommend you stay away from large corporations like Rocket Mortgage or Quicken Loans, not because they're bad necessarily, but because they move way too slow, and it's going to make getting a property under contract that much more difficult for you in a competitive market. So find a local lender who has experience working with investment properties. You may even need to find a commercial lender if you're going to move into the multifamily or apartment space. That's very different from traditional financing. So needless to say, you're going to need to have multiple finance related people, contacts, a part of your team that you can ask questions about and that can actually help you fund your deals. The third one would be a contractor. This is a hugely important role in your team. As we said, at the end of the day, real estate investing just comes down to buying a property for less than it's worth and improving it. The improving portion is where the contractor comes into play. If you're a contractor or handy, that's fantastic. You still need someone with a GC license to pull permits, to do site plans, to talk with you about zoning and apply for, changes in zoning if necessary. These can be very difficult to find. Obviously, they're in high demand. They're very busy, so it can be difficult to find reliable contractors, but this just goes along with the territory of being a real estate investor. Rely on your real estate agent contacts to help you find contractors. Rely on your investment groups that you're a part of to find contractors who have done work for people that you know before, and find more than one. Okay, one contractor may be busy when you need them. They may end up not working out. You need 2 to 3 contractors who can take down a job site for you at any given time. That is, it's not going to be easy. It can definitely be hard to find good contractors, but it's an invaluable part of your team that you just need to spend the time finding. Now, they're also really important because that's going to be your biggest resource to estimate repair costs, which obviously is one of the biggest variables in your whole endeavor. So not only will a contractor actually do the repair work, but if you get a good enough relationship and provide them with enough value, they will walk your job site and give you a really good idea of what the rehab will cost. Now, the next person you need to add to your team is a property manager, okay? If you're going to own rental properties and you don't intend on learning how to become a property manager yourself, you need to find a great property manager. Now, I can tell you, if you are looking to own rentals, a property manager can be an absolute lifesaver, okay? Number one, these are the people who will place the tenant for you. If you screw up placing a tenant, you're in for a nightmare. If you have to evict someone, they won't leave. Maybe they potentially do damage to your property. This can be mitigated by doing background checks, by following up with references that they provide you. A good property manager is very good at finding high-level tenants. Now, if something does go wrong and they need to do an eviction, a high-level property manager will be able to handle the eviction for you in a very timely manner. They'll know all the proper procedures. They'll probably have a relationship with the local authorities to get the process started. Don't sleep on having relationships with a great property manager. They will save you thousands of dollars and many, many headaches. Now, you will have to pay. Typically, it's between 9 and 11% of the gross income. If it's a larger property with more units, it could be lower, but that's typically what it is for single family homes. And in my opinion, it's worth every penny, especially if you're really going to scale your portfolio. It's going to be really difficult to manage even 5 or more properties on your own. So if you're really looking to scale your business, if you're really looking to have passive income, I highly recommend you utilize property managers. Now, the last person you have to add to your team would be a CPA, specifically a CPA who's familiar with real estate investing. One of the best parts of real estate investing are all the ways that you can use the tax code to your advantage as an investor. Now, this ranges from creating a certain entity to reduce your liability, to taking advantage of the massive write-offs that you have available to you, to making sure you utilize depreciation on your properties. Okay, we're talking about tax code. Obviously, it gets very in-depth and complicated and changes each year. So there's no doubt, if you're going to seriously get involved in real estate investing for 100 different reasons, you need to find a great CPA who works with other real estate investors and who can really take advantage of all the benefits that go along with it. So that is putting a team together. If you're going to be successful with real estate investing, you need an agent, you need a lender, you need a contractor, you need a property manager, and you need a CPA. All right, so that was a lot of basic information on how to get started in real estate investing, regardless of the market you're in. Now let's talk about Atlanta. This channel is about Atlanta. Maybe you're watching because you're interested in investing in real estate in Atlanta. Maybe you're watching because you own a home in Atlanta and you want to buy an investment property. Now I'm going to talk about why I love Atlanta for real estate investing and where some of the areas are that I think will grow in value the most. All right, so first off, why is Atlanta a great spot to invest in real estate? Now listen, I'm not saying it's the best place to invest in real estate. There are certainly markets throughout the country that will do better for things like cash flow and appreciation and even have lower risk. And that depends on a lot of factors. I'm not saying Atlanta is the best market in the world, but it is a great market to own real estate in. And here's why. You always want to look for some key driving factors when you're deciding which market to be involved in. Number one would be population growth. We have one of the fastest growing metros in the entire country. Number two, we have a very diverse economy, meaning our economy in Atlanta is not dependent on one type of industry. In other words, if the shipping industry goes to crap soon, we will be okay. We are not dependent on one type of industry. We have healthcare, we have TV and film, we have finance, we have banking, we have higher education, we have medical, we have logistics. We have it all. We really have a very diverse economy. So if things shift in the market and one sector takes a dive, most of our workers will still be okay. Going along with the diverse economy, we have a lot of major companies headquartered here. There's something like 18 Fortune 500 companies headquartered in Atlanta and almost 30 Fortune 1000 companies headquartered in Atlanta. Now, of course, for a real estate investor, Fortune 1000 companies means great hubs for a lot of jobs. Jobs mean people, people mean tenants, and people to buy homes that real estate investors are selling. In addition, Atlanta has a very mild climate. Doesn't appeal to everyone. Some people want extreme heat or cold, but for the largest cross-section of people, a mild climate is very good to have. And not only do we have a mild climate, but we really have no natural disasters, okay? You're not gonna have to worry about a tornado like you would in the Midwest, or a hurricane like you would in New Orleans or Florida. You're not gonna have to worry about major fires or earthquakes like you would in California. Now, we do get some heavy rains and there can be some flooding from time to time, but really, compared to other markets, compared to other parts of the country, we really have no natural disasters to speak of. Now, is that the main reason why investing in Atlanta is a smart idea? But it is a macro level factor in why Atlanta long term will continue to be a good place for real estate investors and why it'll continue to grow. Now, as of right now, we also have pretty low cost of living. Yes, it has risen quite a bit over the last year or two, but comparatively to a lot of coastal cities, we still have a very low cost of living in terms of purchasing a house, all your daily expenses, schools, whatever you want to talk about. Compared to a lot of other metros of a similar size, Atlanta has a very low cost of living still. All right, so we looked at why Atlanta is a great place to invest in real estate, but where should you invest? That's probably one of the most important questions you're asking yourself. When people reach out to me and say, hey, Mark, where should I invest in real estate? I tell them I have no idea because it depends on what your goals are, what your risk tolerance is, and what the strategy that you're using is going to be. Let's use a few different strategies as examples though, and I'll come up with some quick recommendations. So let's just say you want to do Airbnb. You want to purchase a property for short-term rental, someone visiting from out of state for whatever reason. In that case, I'd probably point you to be close to Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Now that's an area that's great to invest anyway, but specifically for short-term rentals, not only because you're close to the airport for people traveling, obviously, but also the entire industry that's built around that airport. You have people who work for the airlines, work for Delta. You have hospitals in that area where you have nurses who will stay there for short periods of time. You have a whole ecosystem of workers and people around Hartsfield-Jackson within 25 minutes who are looking for short-term housing. It's not just vacation rentals for Airbnb. You have people who need to stay there a week, a month, a few days. So if you like the idea of running an Airbnb business, which it is, I would stay within 20 minutes of Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. The other place you want to look for Airbnb is probably close to the Beltline. If you have someone coming in from out of state, maybe they're looking to avoid renting a car. As the Beltline gets built up, that is going to be a place where short-term rentals are very popular because people are going to want to be very close to amenities where they can walk, which is not common in Atlanta, but it is near the Beltline. What about if you're looking to flip? Well, again, flipping is great. It depends on what type of flip you want to do. I have clients who do high-end flips. Obviously, if you like to do a high-end flip, you probably have more experience. The materials are more expensive, the projects are more expensive, and the payoff is usually larger. So this is probably more of an advanced technique. Obviously, high-end flips are going to be in high-end areas, North Atlanta, north of Atlanta, so on and so forth. If you want to do more of a traditional flip, let's just say for your first flip, I would recommend you look at the east side of Atlanta, around Decatur, in the East Lake area, off Memorial Drive. I've had a lot of success with clients doing flips in this area. You get a uniform product. Okay, you get a nice brick ranch, very similar, not usually a lot of surprises with these homes. Very easy to comp out, very easy to estimate repairs. And, you could be looking at something in the high ones or low twos, putting 60 to 90K in it and, selling in the high threes, low fours, high fours, depending on the size. So you're in Atlanta, you want to look at a flip. I would personally recommend you find a brick ranch on the east side that's got good bones, needs cosmetic repairs, maybe a few shifts in the layout, and you flip that and sell it in line with what those other homes are going for in that immediate area. All right, let's talk about rentals, because that's probably the most common investing strategy most people reach out for. Where should I own a long-term rental? A single family home or maybe even a multi-family home. Well, again, like we said, it's going to depend. For me in Atlanta, it's all about the Beltline. Okay, if you are going to be a real estate investor in Atlanta, and this actually goes back to the education piece, okay? Not only do you need to educate yourself about real estate investing, but once you've picked a market, you need to educate yourself continually on what's going on in that market. So if Atlanta is a place for you, you need to sign up for websites like AJC, Curbed. Well, actually, Curbed doesn't really exist anymore, but there's What Now Atlanta, there's Biz Now. There are a lot of websites that will keep you up to date on big developments going on in the city of Atlanta. And this will really help you get a leg up on the competition and also make smart decisions for where you buy. So you need to stay up to date on the amenities, the developments going on in Atlanta. And if you are up to date, the Beltline is one of the single biggest influences on property values in terms of amenities, more so than any other in the city. So you need to understand what the Beltline is. I have a video about this on my YouTube channel if you want to start educating yourself. But I live in a Beltline neighborhood. The value of my home has increased quite a bit over the last few years. But all the property that is bordering near the Beltline, I'm not going to say it's all going to be great forever, but that is probably one of the strongest indicators of an improvement in the near future, is having Beltline access in your neighborhood, being in a Beltline neighborhood. So make sure you research that. The number one place I would want to own real estate in Atlanta is on the west side, near the Beltline. I tell all the investors this. Now, this is an up-and-coming area. This is an area where you will get pockets with, crime and drug traffic, depending on exactly where you're talking about. So it's really important to have boots on the ground to go examine the area. But that being said, I really like the west side of Atlanta. And here's a simple example. If you look at the east side of Atlanta near the Beltline, you look at neighborhoods like Inman Park, Reynoldstown, so on, and Glenwood, so on and so forth. These are some of the hottest, most desirable neighborhoods. Why? Because they're in the heart of the city, they're pretty safe, and they're some of the most walkable areas with the most things to do. These are Beltline neighborhoods. Now, it was like that before the Beltline, but the Beltline has amplified that in the sense that you can now walk from Inman Park to Piedmont Park. So you've taken two very desirable areas and connected them through walkways, and you create a much more desirable area. Everyone benefits in those areas, and the property values go up. Well, I think it's pretty easy to see that on the west side near the Beltline, you're going to have a very similar situation, only it's going to take a few years to get there. So you have, the loop of the Beltline going through the west side, mirroring the east side. You've got some of the amenities with the Lee and White retail development, which I've talked about before, going in. These are areas that are becoming more popular for people who can afford to live in areas like the east and north side of Atlanta. So you're seeing a lot of change go on in these areas. You're seeing a lot of hip new establishments going on in these areas. But the housing just hasn't caught up, right? And the safety hasn't caught up, and the amenities haven't quite caught up. This is really easy to see. The real estate here, 5, 10, 15 years on the west side, adjacent to the Beltline, is going to be as desirable as the real estate is on the east side near Inman Park now. So that is probably the number one place I would personally try to buy real estate in Atlanta. Now, if you are looking to do like a BRRRR strategy where you purchase in cash, do the rehab, improve it, take out a loan, get your capital back, rinse and repeat, you're probably not going to do this in the city of Atlanta. There are some approaches where you need to find a secondary market, a tertiary market, a smaller market near a bigger market where the prices are usually lower. There's usually a little less to do, a smaller town feel. It could be any type of neighborhood. There are a lot of secondary neighborhoods. There's places like Columbus, Georgia, down to the south. There's areas like Macon, which are very cheap. But, these areas are cheaper for a reason. There's less people, they're less developed, and it is a bit more of a gamble, right? Because if the market has a big shift, a lot of times these are the neighborhoods that will get depressed first. Whereas obviously with Atlanta, you have a much larger anchor for long-term property values. So if you're looking to do the BRRRR strategy, or if you're just on a lower budget, okay, if you need to buy a home that's under $150,000, at the moment, you're not really going to find that inside the perimeter or really anywhere near the perimeter. So if you're on a lower budget, you're trying to do a certain type of strategy, just know you may need to familiarize yourself with some opportunities outside of Atlanta. And there are a lot of those opportunities. You can become an expert in North Georgia mountain living, whether that's VRBO or long-term or flipping or whatever. You can become an expert in south of Atlanta, South Georgia living, whether that's Columbus or another neighborhood. This is the advantage of real estate investing. You can pick an area, get to know the fundamentals, see if it's viable for what you're trying to do, and then become an expert in that area. Now, one more area that I'll mention that I really like for investing before we go is South Atlanta. Now, South Atlanta areas like College Park and East Point typically get a bad rap. They have had historically high crime. They've been in the news for this reason. They're also great places to live in large sections of those areas. Like I said, close to Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, so that's a huge plus. Inside the perimeter, so that's a huge plus. Lower prices than North Atlanta, where the schools are good, so you can get better value and sharper appreciation. And many areas of South Atlanta, large swaths of College Park, East Point, Hapeville, are very family friendly and overall very safe. I don't think you'd have an issue in many of these areas. Now, in Atlanta, things do change street to street quite rapidly, but when everyone else is looking at North Atlanta, all the areas with the good schools, which of course are good places to own real estate, maybe you need to be looking at other areas like South Atlanta, the Tri-Cities, near the airport. These are some areas that I steer investors towards. But at the end of the day, it comes down to your personal strategy and your risk tolerance. So you need to combine what you want to do with real estate investing with your knowledge of the Atlanta market and determine, based on your budget, where makes the most sense to deploy your capital. All right, for the last chapter, I'm going to leave you with some final thoughts. I hope this video has provided you some value and got you excited about starting your real estate investing journey. Remember, this is just very basic information to help you get familiar with the things that you need to educate yourself on. There's no substitute for doing the research, connecting with people, networking, and just learning all about real estate investing. It's not complicated. At the end of the day, you're trying to acquire properties for below market value. You're trying to add value through property and land improvements, and then you're trying to sell it for a profit or hold on to it for monthly cash flow. That's really all there is to it, and there's a million different ways you can do that. One thing I want to touch on before we go is timing the market. You've probably heard me rant about this in my other videos, but in my mind, there is no such thing as timing the market. Every single person I've encountered who has asked me about when the market is going to crash and said they're going to hold off so that they can take advantage of it, have ended up never buying anything. The reality is the type of people who take advantage of a crash were buying before the crash anyway. I've talked a lot about real estate market crashes and how the last one was based on massive mortgage fraud, which we don't have indications of currently. And so although the economy could take a massive turn, I don't see in particular the housing market having anything like a 2008 episode. The reality is, as a real estate investor, you should always be looking for a good deal. Okay, there are good deals in down markets, there are good deals in great markets. No matter what the market, whether it's the stock market or the housing market, is doing, you need to be constantly looking for good deals regardless of what the market is doing. And guess what? If you're super concerned about some major shift in the market, just build those numbers into your deal analysis. You can estimate rent that's a few $100s below what the current market value is, and you can even analyze your deal with an after repair value much lower than the current market value, just to leave yourself some wiggle room. But if you're serious about being a real estate investor, you need to have the mindset of always being looking for great deals. And the last thing I'll leave you with is a little piece of advice for one of my favorite real estate investor speakers, Tom Kroll, who often uses the phrase, taking massive imperfect action. All right, do not let analysis paralysis keep you from taking any action. If you're discouraged about not having enough capital, or about it being too complicated, or worried about what the market is going to do, you need to set those thoughts aside, and you need to realize that real estate investing is one of the most tried and true methods for creating long-term wealth for Americans over its entire history. So it would serve you really well to educate yourself about this topic, but then actually make sure you take action with the things that you learn. You don't want to be one of those people who knows everything there is to know about real estate investing, but then never pulls the trigger. Yes, you might have some missteps, you might even lose a little bit of money, but it's highly unlikely that you're going to have some life-altering negative experience. After all, you can control way more variables when it comes to investing in real estate than you can many other vehicles, like investing in the stock market. So my encouragement to you would be to educate yourself, get connected with the right people, and take massive imperfect action. Create a goal for yourself to analyze one deal a day. Start saving up capital for a down payment to put on a property that you know you want to own. And start to partner with people who are actually doing this already at a high level and provide value for them. Do free work for them, find something of value that you can do or provide for them, and spend time around them. Learn from them, go to their project sites. So make sure you educate yourself about real estate investing, make sure you educate yourself about the market that you're getting involved in, and make sure you get connected with people who are already doing what you want to accomplish. So I hope that video was helpful. I hope it provided you some value. Hopefully you can come back to it over time to reference some of the things that I'm talking about. Obviously, I didn't go too deep into any one topic. This was just a primer on how to get started. So I encourage you to take some of the phrases, some of the topics that I touched on, do a deep dive, do your own research, get on biggerpockets.com, and reach out to me if you have any questions. If you are looking to invest in real estate Atlanta, we are a brokerage that has a lot of experience working with real estate investors. We do get off-market deals, and we can connect you with any of the people that you'll need on your team. So I hope you liked that video, and be sure to go right into one of my next videos about the Atlanta real estate market and where the best places to invest are. See ya.